A recent WPIX editorial noted that Representative Barry Goldwater, Jr. had come up with the idea of selling advertising on postage stamps to alleviate the deficit of the U.S. Postal Service. The management of WPIX flatly opposed the idea. We observed that a nation's stamps form a fascinating history of the country, and we hope that the Postal Department resisted this proposal. Those who wrote to us about the idea were evenly divided. Marcella E. Mayer of Somerdale, New Jersey, had this to say, and I quote, "For most of our history, our stamps have been dull and completely without imagination. It wasn't too many years ago that we finally recognized that fact and hired artists to put us in step with the international community. To now turn our stamps over to industry would be disastrous." And that ends that comment. Lawrence S. Phillips of Long Beach, New York, an avid collector and stamp dealer, wrote that the thought of a whopper or a ring around the collar stamp is nauseating and downgrading to stamp collectors. Further on, he observed, and I quote, "The U.S. Postal Service have been quite conservative in the number of stamps issued per year. In 1979, they issued 32 different stamps. Russia in the same year issued 77. The time has come for the U.S. Postal Service to get a larger share of this philatelic income." And that ends that excerpt. However, Mario Peake Smith of Manhattan thought that advertising on stamps was a great idea and suggested adding currency, token, and coins as new medium. He continued, and I quote, "Philatelists and numismatists aren't sacred cows, and anything that private industry and enterprise can do to reduce public expenditure sounds very good to this taxpayer. I can't think of anything more historical than a K-car on a 1-cent stamp." And that adds that opinion. David Schmarter of Corning, New York, also thought that company logos and other messages on stamps would not be so bad, adding, and I quote, "With the price of sending a letter high and going higher, I wouldn't mind a 1 or 2 cent reduction by having to lick a Kentucky Fried Chicken stamp." And that ends that opinion. Those are some of the comments that our viewers have sent to us on ads on stamps. We present them to you because we think you should know what your neighbors are thinking, and we urge you to continue to write to us about PIX editorials.